All right, and welcome back to our studio, coming to you live from the hub. Tim Zaghetti is on his way over here right now. In just a moment, I'm going to grab an interview with him. But first, we are going to head out right now to the world of solutions, where Rob is going to bring us a couple of demos over at Panoptica. Rob, how you doing out there?
I am doing fantastic because we get to talk about security, Steve. So excited to be over here because we're not talking about just any security. It's kind of a space that Cisco is really getting into an aggressive manner more directly, which specifically Panoptica. It's a Cisco product, service, software, but it's all about cloud native security and what we're doing to secure these workloads in ways that a lot of people aren't paying enough attention to. To help explain it, Tim is joining me here. Tim, I appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you, Rob.
So tell me, what's important to understand about what you're accomplishing with Panoptica, and what do you want customers to know about how to use this?
Well, the important thing is that cloud-native applications aren't just about the workload. So it's not just the container and the Kubernetes environment that it's running in, but it's also the API security that goes with it. Okay. So it's not just who can talk to who at that API security, but what communications they're actually having, what endpoints they're calling, what data they're sending back and forth.
Because it's usually very opaque, right? So
yes,
we don't know what's going on, and just because people make the mistake, myself included all the time, which is it's working, I quit trying to mess with something. But a lot of times we need the ability to see in there and control some things at that degree and not simply assume that everything's going well, so to speak. Do you mind showing us how this works?
Sure, absolutely. So from a security perspective, there are usually three things I like to focus on. Visibility, right? What all is running in my workloads. So from the runtime view, I get a complete list of the workloads running in my Kubernetes cluster. I can actually drill down into a particular workload and see the comprehensive assessment of security that comes with it. So not only do I have that visibility into the workload itself, the container as we call it, but also all the parameters that go around it. So is this thing available to SSH into? Has somebody modified that workload after I submitted it? Because keep in mind, in these cloud-native environments, infrastructure as code, GitOps are very important. So all this stuff needs to be in a repository somewhere. So if it's modified after it's been submitted, that doesn't match what's in the repository. And so now we have a discrepancy going on.
Are you setting up some? Are you setting up a foundational level of new workloads or inheriting a basic set to then move forward on and then can be customized as necessary based on their specific needs? Or do you have to watch it? Because it feels like you work in a very dynamic environment. Workloads are being created all the time. They're being modified all the time, spun up, destroyed. How do you keep track of that? How does that attach itself?
Exactly, and that speaks to the visibility issue because developers are publishing functionality features all the time. We see that not necessarily in the workload or the runtime view, but certainly in the API environment because these services are getting deployed repeatedly, and so we now need to know what services are deployed, what API endpoints are getting created, what visibility there is between them. And so then we can look at the risk findings for all these vulnerabilities, and I'll just scroll down to some interesting ones about leakage information and so forth. And so we get that visibility, both workload, API, and then the new emerging space of serverless where we can see their functions, right? So now that they've been divorced from, working with the infrastructure teams to deploy in a Kubernetes environment, they can just publish to the cloud. We have even less visibility. And so Panoptica can integrate with your cloud accounts, pull the list of functions, and assess them in a similar way as container security.
All right, I'm going to need to flip over in a second and see the other side of this, but is there one final point quick to make that we missed? Make sure I didn't forget to ask you something.
No, sure. I would say that just keep in mind that the application as a whole has multiple components and too many folks focus on one. They either focus on API security or workload security, and we're taking a comprehensive view to things.
That's perfect. Tim, thank you so much.
It's great seeing you again, Rob.
We're going to talk to your peer just around the other side of the booth. Follow me over here. I apologize. We're going to kick you out. We're going to bring this gentleman a microphone here. Yvonne, let's see, did Tim keep the microphone? Here we go, Tim did. Perfect. Yeah, we have a limited set of microphones here, supply chain, from what I understand. We're working through it. Contrast for us real quick, you're showing a different angle on how we're working with these workloads. We talked security there. This is Callisti. And it's all about cloud native observability, correct?
That's correct. So Callisti is a cool product that allows you to make a better management of your cloud-based native applications, so modern applications on Kubernetes. So for example, just by deploying Callisti is deployed as another application on your cluster, you can have three basic main pillars. For example, the first one is security. Just by deploying Callisti, you get all your links encrypted. So this is the first one, and this is out of the box, just by deploying Callisti. So, this makes a lot more sense in this new containerized world in which you don't know if your workloads are going to be sitting next to each other, or they can be in a different country, or they can be 100 kilometers. So you cannot be doing clear text communication between workloads, and that used to be clear text for Kubernetes. Kubernetes by default is clear text. So just deploying Callisti, you get rid of the problem of the security.
Well, immediately, I love the visibility and just the real world language you can put to this to kind of demystify the complexity of trying to view the cloud. How do you view a cloud? Yeah.
Mainly because you have to think that Callisti works all in one cluster or also in multi-cluster environments. So when you are running in a hybrid environment with different clusters, they can be running in different countries. So security is a main issue here. Yeah. So encryption is something that you really have to take care of. Second thing, or second pillar of Callisti is the observability. Instead of dealing with CLI line commands with no visibility at all, now you have a topology view, for example, in this case. Let me grab to this one, which is easier, that shows you how your workloads are doing in every single moment. You can click on any of them, and Callisti will take you about all the statistics, of the health statistics, and we'll show you all the charts with the number of requests per second, and all how it's doing in terms of, let me show you a workload in which you can check how you are doing with your memory, with your CPU, rate, latency, etc., etc. So visibility, observability is one of the biggest things that we can get out from Callisti. And the third one, and the kind of the most powerful one, is the idea that you have to do some traffic steering, traffic management. So you can introduce some policies into your application. So you can decide how much, for example, how much traffic are you driving to each of your containers, depending on how you thrust on them. For example, we have a new container here, a new version 3, and we don't, it's a new release. We are not very confident that it will perform properly as the old one. So we just decide to introduce a new policy that only push 10% of the traffic to that.
Yeah.
So as long as
you're saying these new workloads, you really don't know, can they handle the stress just yet? Let's scale it in.
Exactly, slowly. So we can check, we can monitor how it's performing slowly, and if it's performing okay, we will expose it to more traffic. And
gotcha.
That also can be checked by the fact that we can go back in time and see how our application was doing in any singular moment, in any particular moment.
So you can go back in time.
I can go back and check how was my cluster performing. Look at that. I had a lot of issues because
forensics.
I inject some fault. So that's basically Callisti, a tool that helps you to deal with all these new cloud-native applications.
Well, Ivan, thank you so much, especially because we were telling you we're going to do one thing, and then we said, no, let's throw them into it. We're ready to go. So, guys, the big thing to remember when it comes to cloud-native workloads, it's a combination of very fundamental things. We've been talking about this throughout the entire week, and that is the fact you need security and you need observability, and you certainly don't want to ignore that when it comes to your cloud-native workloads and everything that feeds off of those things. Very important areas to cover. With that, let's go back to the studio with Steve.
Rob, thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate it. Fantastic demos. It's so good to be there in the ET&I booth. You know, Cisco has got such a long, rich history of innovation, and now Cisco ET&I is really driving that next generation of technology innovation. So let's continue that conversation because I've got Tim Seghetti here with me in the studio. Hello, Tim.
Hey, Steve. How are you? Thanks so much for
rushed straight on over from that fantastic iTalk. Congratulations. Really, really nice session. Great content. I really love what the BU is doing right now and how quickly the word is spreading across the Cisco ecosystem and out to our partners. So let me start by asking you, what is different about ET&I versus how Cisco has approached innovation in the past?
You know, that's a great question, Steve. I really appreciate it. At Cisco, we love technology, and we love it so much that sometimes we've just started with technology saying, hey, what are the key technology we see developing and what can we do with it? And that's a technology-first approach to innovation where it might lead to something that's valuable to our customers, or it might lead to just another science project type of thing. Whereas if we start the problem, or start by examining the problems that our customers are facing and start from there, and then apply like a venture-based lens on our technology investments and engineering and so forth, then we're able to stay focused and on track into actually more consistently delivering some innovation that's of specific value to our customers. So this is the pivot, if you will, in the change in lens of, hey, instead of starting with technology, the tools, right? Let's start with what is it that you want to build and why. You know, I need to build a house, or I need to build, or whatever the task is, I need to repair a car, then find the right tools to do the job versus, hey, I got this really cool tool, what can I do with it? So that's the change, the business first, venture-based approach to innovation.
It sounds so natural, doesn't it, right? Listen to what our customers and partners are telling us and build to suit their particular needs.
Yeah.
So what are the prime areas of focus right now for ET&I incubation at this stage?
Yeah, absolutely. So one key focus area we covered in the iTalk, which is modernizing the application. And so we have 2 solutions that have been fully incubated and now are available to our customers to download for free. No feature limits, no scale limit, no function limits. The only limit is scale. But if you need to scale beyond that, we can talk.
Sure.
Callisti.app, Panoptica.app, we want our customers to start using it. You know, take it for a test drive, put it in your environment, see the benefits we're bringing to you, and then keep on, we'll go from there. So modernizing the app. Then, the next area where we're going to have solutions in just a few months at the Cisco Live US timeframe, it will be in Edge. So in Edge operations, in Edge artificial intelligence. And the challenges here, for example, is that the footprint at the edge is very different than in the cloud. So in the cloud you have infinite bandwidth, you have infinite compute, infinite memory. At the edges, everything is scarce. You got a little bit of footprint on maybe a camera or an access point or a network device, and then how can we use that efficiently? Can we cluster those resources together to run more complex apps? AI is a very complex type of application and algorithm, but it makes sense to do this at the edge whenever possible. Think about if we had to run AI to detect a specific event. Maybe all these cameras watching the stadium, and we want to make sure that people are kept safe and we're monitoring for a specific type of behaviors. Well, rather than stream all of those high-def streams to a data center, right? It just would make so much more sense if we could achieve that kind of outcome at the edges and make more efficient use of the capabilities we have there and make it simple to operate. So these are some of the challenge areas that we're incubating and we're near ready to launch, and look for some interesting things very soon.
That's very cool. Edge Native is so exciting on this, and I got to hear a lot of that when we were out at KubeCon in October in Detroit, right. And everything was just lined up so heavily around that, and that was a really big area of excitement. I want to ask you about why customers should continue to trust us, to choose Cisco as their customer for the next generation of business and technology challenges, and I think ET&I is a big part of that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is why, even though we've done so much thought leadership in networking, in security, and collab, we want our customers to be aware of the many innovations that we're doing beyond these fields and even entering new markets. It's easy to think, hey, these are our strengths and we've led the industry so much in these core areas, but you know what? They can be applied to many new areas, like we talked about in the iTalk, bringing networking and security expertise into the new realm of networking inside the app. As an example, or Edge. We've been creating platforms that have Edge capabilities. It's like, okay, well, why don't we optimize them and make new and interesting uses of them? Or even why we're looking at various technologies, like we talked about quantum and what we can uniquely bring to this field, both in, not just both, but in cryptography, in networking, in quantum compute also. So it's really, we have a lot of strengths and some real, a long and rich history of innovation, and we want to continue this path, and we want to share with our customers. Sometimes we've been perhaps a little bit too close to the chest with the innovations because we want to drive as much competitive advantage, but at the same time we're trying to find a better balance so that we can share with our customers that, hey, Cisco is and continues to be an innovative company. We're going to be with you all the way on either your cloud native journey, edge native journey, your quantum journey, whatever it may be, and then work with us. And even one thing I wasn't able to mention, but we can even have confidential discussions in the innovation forum, the Whisper Suites, where we can even share with a little bit more freeness with the customers under non-disclosure agreements, more details about other innovation projects we're working on.
That's perfect. Tim, thank you so much. I'm glad you joined us in studio. Great iTalk. Once again, truly appreciated. For all of you, thanks for joining us. Stay with us. We're going to take a very brief station break. We'll be right back in just a moment.